Welcome to the Sports Bar here at WTF Nation Radio. I am the actual King Smith, and right over here to the right of me, not wearing a hat today, is my co host, the man affectionately known as Coach. Coach, let the people know something.
What do you hear? What do you say, King? I had to change that up. So, yeah, now I do have a hat on. Yeah, I got my Fayetteville State Broncos hat on tonight for this one. But, hey, King, how you been? Man, game one of the NBA Finals tonight, buddy.
Yes, sir. Before we get into it, let me snap the sports bar light on. Boom, there we go. The sports bar light is on. So, for those of y'all that are new to us but not true to us, we here at the sports bar is hosted by two veterans. I am a U.S. Air Force veteran. Coach is a veteran. He's got the Army prominently displayed up there, so one could maybe make an assumption that he is an Army veteran. We're two guys here that like to talk all things sports related, as if we were having a conversation at a sports bar. We are not, well, let me not speak for Coach. I'm going to speak for myself. I am not an overly analytical guy, but I do like to break things down. We're having a new format today as I'm running some things different on the technical side. We will not be able to display anything. So for the next roughly 90 minutes to 2 hours, depending on how long our interview goes, it is just going to be us up here as talking heads. Now, you just heard me say that we have an interview
You're going to
tonight.
be talking a lot, man. I'm going to be watching the game.
Yes, so there's a lot going on in the sports world, championships that are occurring tonight. One scandal that's kind of sport adjacent that we're going to lead with just because it's scintillating. And then on the back half of the show, we're going to be interviewing a current active duty military service member who competed in a bare knuckles MMA style fight and won in a flexing 38 seconds. So it's going to be interesting having a guy that's currently serving come on, share a little bit about what's going on with him, how he got into the sport itself. And for any of the service members out there who are looking at competing, what you can do to possibly get into that sport itself. Now, let's take a look to see if we have any comments before we go on. Shout out to God happened to me's in the building, said good evening, Miss Thang, my boo thing. I appreciate you tuning in.
Hope your hand's feeling better.
Hope your hand is feeling better. That is a well wishes from Coach. So, sports has always been a reflection of society. In general, you've got competition, you've got leadership, you've got accountability, you've got success, and you've got failure. And sometimes just a whole giant mess wrapped into all of that. Ask the Patriots head coach right now, Mike Vrabel. But today, we're going to cover all of that. We're starting with a story that honestly shouldn't happen as often as it does, a teacher sex scandal, which is, growing. And it has a sport adjacent story to it. So we're going to open up with that one. Then we're going to shift gears to something that's a little bit more fun. We've got the NBA Finals are here. You got the San Antonio Spurs representing the West, going against who, Coach? Out of the East?
The New York Knicks.
Hey, when we started the year, I don't quite remember what you said about the Knicks and their chances of making the playoffs when we had the NBA Cup early on. But I mean, I take a look at what they did
I wasn't
during the
too
Cup
optimistic.
series.
I wasn't too optimistic at the beginning of the year. I thought that the firing or the hiring of Mike Brown was going to be a detriment to them. But what Mike Brown ended up doing with creating the bench that they have, which they didn't have during Tibbs' time, and opening up the offense and letting the players, working through the system and getting an absolute great offensive system and a team playing system. Yeah, I didn't have that at the beginning of the year at all. Did not. I had it. Maybe I said that I even said it at the beginning of this one. I didn't think they'd make it past the second round. I had them losing to Boston, but man, this is a magical run, and after everything I have seen up here, I am a true Nick believer. Knicks and six. That's what I've got going on for this one.
He said Knicks in six. It rhymes and I like it. We'll break down a little bit about game one, talk about some of the matchups, who has the most pressure, and who we think is going to walk away with the Larry O'Brien trophy. We'll also hit the Stanley Cup Finals a bit as Vegas continues to prove that they might be on one of the best runs in professional sports history. Then we're going to head to Capitol Hill. Yes, Capitol Hill. And if you're wondering, what would Capitol Hill have to do with sports? Well, a lot of things, as legislation covers sports. And the great Nick Saban was in front of Congress today talking about the future of college athletics, NIL, the transfer portal, and whether college sports is speeding towards disaster. He had a quote about a Ferrari driving 150 miles per hour towards the Grand Canyon, and that shit cracked me up. So we'll unpack what that means and whether he's right. And if that wasn't enough, we're only days away from one of the biggest sporting events on earth, depending on how you look at it, the FIFA World Cup. 48 teams, 3 host nations, billions of viewers, and that's just really the small wrap up of what the FIFA World Cup is. I don't even, I need to get me a soccer jersey. I'm not going to call it football because to me, American football is the real football. But I need to get me a soccer jersey. I think that that'll make me look cool being one of the guys if I got me a soccer jersey.
No, man, I wouldn't. You would have to go against Team USA, and Team USA will be lucky if they make it out of the group stages this year. That's all I'm
Mm.
going to say. And you wear another country, well, you're doing that in this freaking with this government and in this type of political environment. Go ahead and wear another country out there and see if you don't get called something stupid.
Hey, be prepared to talk about that as we'll talk about Team USA, the
Oh yeah.
expectations, and whether American soccer is finally ready to take another step forward. And then to wrap things up, we'll have a special guest joining us. Like I said earlier, a man who's serving his country and steps into the bare knuckle ring. Army officer, BKFC Cruiserweight, and the owner of a devastating, I said 38 seconds, my bad. Let me put some respect on his name. A 36-second knockout victory. Vince Aragona joins us later into the show to talk about his military service, fighting, discipline, and what it takes to compete at a high level. So set your phones up wherever you're watching this, whether it's on a phone, TV, or an iPad. Kick it with us as you've got two talking heads and these lovely voices here with you tonight. And let's just jump right into it. Coach, what the hell is going on with all of these teachers getting into sex scandals in school? So,
Man, I think it's just now people are reporting the damn things, and that's unfortunately that's what's happening right now. That's the reason why we keep seeing it more and more.
now, this story involves a former biology teacher and football staffer, Maurice Nichols, who is now facing 11 additional charges that's connected to allegations involving students. But the thing that I want to highlight is it seemed like it's a pattern. And I think maybe you and I have talked about this in the past, or maybe I'm getting my live streams here mixed up because it seems like we're hearing about this more and we're also hearing about it more with lady teachers over men teachers, right? And when people
Yeah.
hear about it with the lady teachers, it's more of like guys in the comment section give it a little bit more of a slap on the wrist. They'll rate and judge the hotness of the teacher and go, man, or where were teachers like that when I was growing up? Versus if it was a guy, they would say, oh, they ought to, put him out of his misery or build a cell and then put him under the jail. And I just think that that double standard right now is something that our society unfairly doses when it looks at situations that happens like this.
Hey, all right. So it wasn't on our show that we talked about the increase of this. So I mean, we have brought it up though as something that has happened, and I also think that there has been so much vilification against men that a man doing this to somebody in a high school is damn near, well, let's just say it how it is. It would be like me saying the N word. Okay, that's somebody touching a teenage girl like that. especially a staffer, is an automatic death sentence. All right, cancel fucking everything out there. Some of these women right now are also taking advantage of scared men who don't know, their proper place into it. They're told that they're going to be saying no and no and no and no constantly over and over again. At that point, when they keep on saying no and they act like a bunch of sissies, they're going to go for the first thing that's going to be dominant over them, and it being younger woman, or excuse me, an older woman who's finally filling in that role. Then you're going to have a lot more instances of this happening. But what the hell do I know? I am just a loudmouth 45-year-old dude who, this never happened to. And for all of us that said it would be cool for have that happen to us, well, we'll never know. And you're never going to know. So don't fantasize about it, all right? It's not good for you.
Keep on talking, Coach, because I want to try to see if I could bring something on the screen here.
Yeah, I got you. But, and I'm just glad that at this point right now it's also being reported because the abundance of the women getting reported for something like this is showing me that the scales are trying to equal out. There are zero more instances of men being arrested for doing that to women. And now that the investigations are happening, we're seeing that a lot more women are, taking advantage of men at this age. And right now, we're also on commercial for Game 1 of the NBA Finals. I'm just hoping that King is somewhat done with this and he can go back on to talking about it because I really want to get right now to it to watch the game.
Yep, we are done. I do have on screen what this teacher looked like because I wanted to give a visual reference. I was able to figure that out. So give me a round of applause.
Ah,
But let's transition here to something that is directly sports related to what's going on now. Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Coach, how do you look at what is going to occur tonight in this matchup of the NBA Finals? Give me your thoughts. Give me how you predict that this is going to play out. Right now, Vegas has this as a 216.5 total spread with San Antonio favored by 4.5 points.
I'm going to say one thing: the odds are not as ugly as that chick was for the New York Knicks. I mean, now I'm finally caught up, and I was able to look at that picture that you got right there. Oh, God Almighty, man! She makes me want to poop my own wiener if that girl was ever going to be on top of me. But now we're going back to Game 1, and obviously this is a situation where the momentum the past series is going up against the resting and possibly rusting of a New York Knicks team that hasn't played a game in 8+ days. So that's always going to
Welcome to
be
Foot Locker. Anything I can grab for you?
typical
I was looking for some
situation,
basketball.
and it's almost what the hell.
Hold on, that's me. My bad.
Check.
My bad. Stop. Stop. All right, go
All
ahead.
right, all right, all right, all right. We're good now. So, the other part, what I was going to mention about this is that in game ones, historically, and this is going over like the past 29 or 30 series or something like that, game ones from the home team are normally just, the home team is going to end up winning it. Like I think they had it like somewhere 80% of the time over the past 30 years. That game one has gone to the home team. I can see that happening again for this one because this is not going to be a below another sweep series for the New York Knicks. Even though as much as I would love to see them already win 11 in a row, I love to see 12, 13, 14, and 15 in a row, and then call it a day. But got to be realistic. I think that there's a lot of a little rust that just came onto the New York Knicks, but that's going to help them as this series progresses longer and longer and longer. When San Antonio gets tired of having to go back to back like they've had for the past, this round, as well as, luckily enough, they ran into just 7 games. They didn't have to go 7 games. No, I take that back. Didn't they have to go 7 games with Minnesota?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they had to go with that, and eventually it's going to catch up to them, and they're going to get a little bit tired. Don't know if the youth or if the pacing and is going to end up affected Wembanyama as well as the other, younger players. But you're going up against the battle-tested New York team. So tonight in Game 1, I do see that there's going to be an impossible advantage for the New York Knicks to beat San Antonio at home. You don't have the odds, you don't have your history, and you don't have the play as of right now to kind of go against you. But once the second half comes in, I'm looking to see if the Knicks make a little bit more coherent, start playing better defense, make the game respectable. I don't anticipate the Knicks winning tonight, but I do anticipate them winning and pulling up even in Game 2.
Man, I when I was doing my research, had some news that caught my eye. So the average get-in price for the first two games, which are in San Antonio, are cheap seats anywhere around $1,000. For
Mm-hmm.
that's game one, game two. When you look at game three and game four, going back to Madison Square Garden in New York, the lowest price that you could find just to get in and have nosebleed seats, you're talking around $4,000.
Oh, yeah.
There was a reported rumor that was saying that there was a New York Jets player that was saying that even he's priced out from being able to go to the game at
That wouldn't
MSG.
surprise me whatsoever. I mean, he plays for the Jets, so he might as well save up all of his damn money.
Now, what is going to be interesting is that if this game does get into game six and game seven, then they're going to bump up with the World Cup that is going on and taking place
Yeah.
because the FIFA World Cup kicks off just across the river there at MetLife Stadium.
So it looks like if it does go if it does go to Game 7 will be in San Antonio on Friday, June 19th.
Correct.
If I am correct, I believe Game 6 is going to be Tuesday, June 16th in New York if that game does go through. So
Yep. Game
at that
six.
reason why I also know these games is because if Game 5 does have to go through, I am going to be over at Game 5. I and my son are going to be driving up if Game 5 we're not looking at an elimination game. We're looking at the series is tied 2-2 or the Knicks are up 3-1. Me and my son are going to head up there to Madison Square Garden, and we're going to watch Game 5 over at one of the watch parties. That's going to be an away game, so I can either watch the watch party inside Madison Square Garden. Looks like they're doing another one on the outside, and they finally got that opened back up for this evening, and it looks like they're going to do it for every night. And then they've also got a watch party in Central Park. So my son and I are going to head up and do the watch party for Game 5. It would be Saturday of next week, depending on if the Knicks are going to get eliminated or not. If they're not going to, if they are going to make it to Game 6 or somehow win it in Game 5, then we're definitely we're heading up there. If they're facing elimination, they're down 3-1 Game 5. Yeah, I'm 8 up there. By the way, I'm echoing.
Yeah, I don't understand why, because you were fine. I changed no settings on my side. I heard what Holly was talking about earlier, but it kind of ebbs and flows. From what I see, the internet signal's good on my side. You're showing green on your side, but it ebbs and flows between you having like perfectly clear audio to then just a nasty echo. Like, okay, so right now you're yellow. Are you?
Okay, I'm echoing that.
Yep. So currently your echo, I see your audio as yellow. Um, I don't know what the fix is.
Oh God. All right, now I don't hear my echo, so I'm all right.
Yep, yep, it's not as bad. I know that vendors and businesses are excited about these events. Some are probably going to be terrified because of the increase in traffic and foolishness. But I think that a lot of businesses are going to be happy about this.
No,
For sure.
you know what? No, New York has needed something like this. New York has needed something desperately like this for years, and this is going beyond any type of any type of championship that has recently happened. I have seen New York. I haven't seen New York in unity in quite a long time. Some might even say it's been 25 years since it's been in this type of unity. But I have seen New York come together in unity over this Knicks team. I see it all over my social media feed. Everything is getting reported in New York City. Everything is behind this Knicks team. There is not people who grew up in New York City that grew up at the height of San Antonio fans that have become San Antonio fans because of Tim Duncan. No, they still are ticked off and they're still New York fans. They're still going to be there. There's none of these fake ass fans around here. Nobody gives a crap about the Brooklyn Nets. Period. End the discussion. New York is phenomenally behind the Knicks. Everybody's going to get together in this one. There's not going to be anything bad happening. All right. Even if they lose several of these games, there's not going to be riots or anything like that happening. Everything's going to be fine. Even in this political cycle, you're going to see Republicans and Democrats lining up in the street. You're going to see freaking, Spider-Man and Tim is going to be lining up by some big fat Guido by the name of Vinny. All right, you're going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Knicks in 6. Let us party in the fucking streets.
Man, all right. What do I have this as? I think that if the Knicks win game 1, then we've got Knicks in 6. If this goes into a matchup or a situation where you have game 1 and 2 won by the home team and game 3 and 4 won by the home team, then I think we're going to have a straight Rocky match, punch by punch, where the home team has the advantage, and we are going to see a 7-game series and the San Antonio Spurs take it in 7.
And that's what I'm hearing from a whole bunch of people. It's either Spurs in 7 or Knicks in 6. I have heard from every New York guy, almost every person on a national level speak about this. Spurs in 7, Knicks in 6. That's the two that I have heard the most out of everybody. I haven't heard anything about Spurs in 6. I've always heard Spurs in 7 or Knicks in 6. Those are the 99.9% of the ones I've heard. I didn't hear somebody take Knicks in 4, but I don't think I can't take them seriously.
No. Anybody that says Knicks in 4, you can't take seriously. Again, if they can steal game 1, which is possible, they're the team that's riding on an impressive 11-game playoff streak here. The Spurs are coming off of that blow-by-blow against the OKC Thunder. So if the Knicks can take game 1, and this is a big and they could win game 2, you could have a Knicks in 4. But the odds of that, you know what? I'm gonna see what the odds of that are, and maybe throw about a good $100.
Here's the thing too: is that this San Antonio team is one of the youngest teams to ever make it to the finals. Now they've got a lot of experience at the end of their bench, but they don't have the starters are very young. So the general age of this team, if they do end up being Knicks in 4, it's going to be because they buckled underneath the pressure of being in the largest spotlight in the NBA.
Who is going to handle the alien?
That is a mystery of all of them, but I will say this. I would rather have Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson and OG Anunoby and Josh Hart. I'd rather see them in foul trouble at the end of the game and having Wemby out on the perimeter than having Wemby completely dominate in the middle just like a normal center would. When he dominates like a big man, when he is close to the basket and he is dominating offensively and defensively, this San Antonio team is on a run. when he is being forced out to the perimeter and shooting more threes, yes, he is good, but he isn't Steph Curry good, and he is not as dominant as he would be while he is using his massive height to get over everybody in clogging up in the middle. So, if I can have them playing, that type of defense against them, against Wemby, close to the basket, that's how you get him out of that rhythm. It Wemby is going to have 20 something a game. Now, I would like to see him having 20 something a game while shooting 5 or 6, 3-pointers, but getting to the line 3 or 4 times and not having any inside game whatsoever, because that means that they're relying on him hoisting threes on the outside. That's what the Knicks need to worry about. If he gets started in the middle, and you put Josh Hart on him, so that you take away that outside and that the quick step, you counteract that. You're going to leave him open for the domination on the inside, and then that is when Wemby changes the game. So I am hoping that's how you defend Wembanyama in this game.
Okay. There is a bet out there that if Wimby gets 5 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals, and 5 blocks, it puts you at a plus 15,000. So a $50 bet can get you a total payout of 7,550.
Well, look, man. This past Saturday when I was in the sports book over at Harris Casino in Cherokee, I had a guy who was sitting right next to me. The Spurs had to win. Wemby had to have the first points, and he had to finish with like +5 boards or something like that. And the guy ended up hitting his parlay, so I'm kind of happy for him.
Let's
But
go.
I don't know. I don't know about having 5 steals and 5 blocks.
Nope. Likely won't happen, but I made the bet.
Maybe one of them. Maybe one of them.
All right. Now, let's pivot from the NBA and transition to another championship matchup here. The Las Vegas Knights stole
Oh
game
yeah.
one on the road in the Stanley Cup against the Carolina team. Now, Vegas is starting to
Oh,
have
the Carolina team. Damn.
Do I have the wrong matchup?
The Hurricanes, man. Come on, you got to put some respect on there instead of calling them the Carolina team. Oh
Oh,
man.
okay. I mean, look here. All right, it's number one versus
Hey, look,
number one.
look. All right, just as all my New York media is obsessed about the New York Knicks, the hyper localized media is obsessed about the Carolina Hurricanes. So I'm getting it on both ends, but I'm seeing more Knicks than I am the Hurricanes on social media.
Got you. Now, Vegas is one of the most fascinating stories, I think, in pro sports, as they're one of the newest franchises in a major sport and is somehow continuing to thrive and competing for championships. When you look at what they're doing with hockey, when you look at what they're doing with the WNBA, they just need the NFL team there in Vegas to step their game up a bit and make the Las Vegas market the new New York market when it comes to pro sports.
I don't think it'll ever get to New York because, well, New York has got the history behind it with several of their franchises. Vegas doesn't have any type of sports history behind it that isn't recent. Even if you want to go all the way back to when Vegas had some type of championship, that was in the 90s with a college team of UNLV, which ended up being, a one and done type of year. What I will say is that their recent success in the NHL does bode well for to prove that a champion can come out of that town. Because there are certain towns that still haven't received a championship. Seattle being one of them. Actually, I take that back. Seattle did have one in 1979, but that's been the only one. But when you do look at the way these championships, if you want to have this type of city, to think that you're going to have Vegas be anywhere near New York. That means that you have to have a competent baseball owner, which it doesn't look like he does because that owner is waiting until that ballpark's open in 2028. He's got his team in a AAA park in Sacramento where he's paying tenant prices. And let's just be as blunt as we can. Regardless of whether or not the Raiders are actually good, they still have a guy who gets his daggone haircut and a free bowl of soup as one of the owners. Regardless of whether Brady is out there, you've got by far the most inbred bloodline, pure bloodline inheritance baby that I have ever seen in my life with the Davis kid. So I don't know if they'll be anywhere near New York standards, but it does bode well for when the A's do go in there that they might actually go into a town that accepts champions.
Hmm. Now, do you think that the Golden Knights are becoming like the model franchise that the rest of the NHL should use when it comes to like how they constructed their roster?
I haven't even looked around a lot as far as how they've constructed their team. To be honest with you, I have not paid attention to anybody outside of the Western Conference in the Western Conference for the NHL. I have paid attention to the Cavs. It does surprise me that they did score. That they ended up beating Carolina at home. But when I did watch, it was 4-3 Carolina when I got home from my event last night. Watched the remainder of Game 3 when they ended up tying the game, and then just a couple minutes later, watching the game-winning goal. The puck mobility and the passing lanes that were created by that offense, for Vegas, that pretty much impressed me out there. And this is a legit Vegas team that is on an incredible run, beating the President's Trophy team, and now the best in the Eastern Conference. They're going up against them and stole Game 1. So it's up to Carolina to prove that they are the best. But this Vegas team is on another incredible run, much like the New York Knicks are, as they are announcing the starting lineup for Game 1 right now.
Nice. To wrap up the Stanley Cup talk, just like the NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup is a 7 game series where it is the team that has the best of 4 wins. If there is a game 5 and a game 6 or game 7, game 5 is being played at the Hurricanes June 11th. Game 6 is played back in Vegas if there's a game 6 June 14th, and then game 7 if it goes to a 7 game series June 17th at the Hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
When I took a look, statistically, even though that the Carolina Hurricanes were favored in game 1, I think that Vegas is the hot team, and I've got Vegas taking this in 5.
After Game 1, might need to disagree with you, but I do think Vegas will fix this. I think I got Vegas in 6.
Okay, Vegas, Vegas in 6. Let me ask you a question. This just popped up. What do you think
Yeah.
is harder to win, a Stanley Cup or an NBA championship, and why?
What is harder?
What is harder, winning a Stanley Cup or winning an NBA championship? I'd like to know what the viewers think too.
Right now, I think it's harder to win a Stanley Cup than it is to win an NBA championship.
Why is that?
Okay. I'm looking as far as right now how the leagues are spanning themselves out and how the league has you see a lot more. There's a lot more repeat champions over the past 10 or 12 years in the NHL than there has been in the NBA. The last time that we had a repeat champion was the back to back Kevin Durant and what's his name and freaking $400 million shoe guy
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry when they had their their back-to-back team after defeating LeBron in 73 and 9. Some say they could have won 4 in a row. They definitely won 3 out of 4. Then you had the Heat teams as well as who they went up against and they lost against. There have been less, 8 years or 8 years in a row now you're going to have, or 9 years in a row now you're going to have a different championship. And it's been a while, and it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon with a non-repeat champion and a different champion coming out year after year. That I think also in the NBA, it's very easy to start dynasties. And I'm saying that full knowing that if Wembanyama wins this championship, the word dynasty is going to get thrown out because they're going to wonder if he's going to have the same type of legacy or if not a greater legacy than the last San Antonio big man to come before, Mr. Tim Duncan.
Okay. I I was struggling to think of my answer as I thought about the question and asked you. I think that if we're gonna look at defining what's harder to win, the Stanley Cup versus the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Man, I think that the
Yeah, you
Stanley
know what's
Cup.
going to be the hardest to win?
What's that?
The WNBA trophy. Because even if I was a woman, I still wouldn't want to play there.
I think I would say that the Stanley Cup is the harder of the two. The one thing that I don't know, maybe it's a baffling thing for me from the little amount of hockey games that I've watched. The hockey, most of the players on the hockey roster will actually get in play, to include the playoffs as well. They don't run that tight 7 to 8 core that NBA teams will use. Like if you're the ninth man and beyond, even in the regular season, you're likely not going to get playing time unless you're just blowing out a team by 20 or 30 points. And it gets worse in the playoffs. In the playoffs, they rarely go past the eighth man. Again, barring an injury, the ninth man will see maybe 5 minutes in the playoffs. Which I mean, look, if you're making an NBA salary and not getting any playing time, hey, bravo for you. But man, I'd rather know that I contributed to a championship team than I was just a guy on a roster that didn't get any playing time and still got a ring.
Yeah, and one other thing, and by the way, as I'm saying that, Wemby just had a dribble drive right to the free throw line, and it's 3-2 New York within the first quarter, now up 6-2. But we're here's another thing regarding the Stanley Cup too, with how with the way hockey is played. Everybody plays through their own lines, so you do have different line shifts. Um, you you are right about the 7 to 8 and how the benches get smaller during the NBA Finals. I do remember that it was like one of the years San Antonio. It might have been. It might have been the first year when the Heat beat San Antonio, and at that point, Miami had the deeper bench because Ray Allen was coming off the bench. Mike Miller was on that team. I think they had Battier. They had a couple other role players that got onto the bench, and that's kind of what helped them as far as keeping their legs fresh and keeping everything fresh for them inside the while they were going up against him in the finals. So there is something to be said about how and that was the big worry with the New York Knicks too, is that the 8 players or the 7 players that Tibbs would play, everybody was getting tired towards the end of it. In hockey, you do get tired, especially when you have games that can go into 4 to 5 overtimes, and then you're playing still 48 hours later. almost after playing an entire full game where everybody is rotated in and out. So, it is better for everybody to kind of be rested up. And yeah, the NBA's got a better way of kind of resting some of its players. And, hockey, they don't hear about load management or shortening the season, do you?
Nope. Now, let's transition over here, and I don't have a great transition from the Stanley Cups over to the GOAT of coaching, Nick Saban. Nick Saban goes to Washington. All right. Coach Saban, while talking about the state of college sports, compared college athletics to a Ferrari driving 150 miles per hour towards the Grand Canyon. He said that the current NIL and transfer portal system is unsustainable. And critics against him are saying that he's just upset that it has gone from coaches holding the power to players now having the power. So if you're looking at what the talk is around the NIL, that's name, image, and likeness, players can now earn money legally for their name, image, and likeness. And people don't necessarily disagree with that. But proponents are saying that while the athletes should be able to earn money, there should be limits around that. And most people do agree with that. When it comes to the transfer portal, players can pretty much leave almost whenever they want to, which was unheard of. You were locked in to a coach barring or to a team barring a coaching leaving or other like extenuating circumstances once you committed and received an athletic scholarship. And I'm just giving a big broad overview. There were some nuances, but if a coach didn't want to release you, you were stuck at that school, right? So there's a question that people are talking about down in Capitol Hill is should we now look at college athletes like employees considered what they're doing and how the school is handling them? And we're going to bring this up. Has college football become basically a free agency every off season?
And Nick Saban also brought something up regarding the way that all of these athletes are now getting paid. This is now he also brought up that the increasing of costs from like the time that he left went from $2 million in NIL deals to nearly 15, and now in the several years that he has been out, it's gone from 15 to $70 million, and that's been the amount of revenue that has been generated by the University of Alabama for their football team. If this continues to go, the Department of Labor has absolutely no other choice but to call them professional athletes because the way that they are operating, even though it's in a judicial system or in a educational system that is supposed to be closed governed, it's not getting closed governed because these people are getting paid in order to do that. So there needs to be some type of labor law to go against them. Nick Saban also brought this up that it is going to ruin the Olympics. That means that professional athletes will have to be able to compete across every single one of those branches or every single one of those sports in the Olympics that only survives on amateur athletes. Look at the gymnastics teams. Look at the swimming teams. Look at all of the other sports that we play. They are centered at the collegiate level. And if they get paid, you are now at that point getting rid of their amateur, abilities, just like, you did that for professional basketball. That's great that you did that because other teams were able to bring them. But you need to do that now for almost every sport. And what specialty will the Olympics being just being internationals? You're going to have a whole different regulation to pull out from there. And I'm also bringing it up. It needs to be this right now is the capital working against itself. And we can all see that it is going to reach a part where the only two profitable sports are going to be the last two remaining, and that's going to be basketball and football. And then every other sport is then going to be exactly what they were, not profitable, and it's going to be seen as if we can just survive off of those two. We may be able to have one or two other sports, but we're only going to host sports that make money, and that's what's going to end up happening with them.
Man. All right. Well, for you and the viewers, Coach, let's ask: would you rather? Would you rather
Mm-hmm.
keep today's system, return to the old system, or create something that's entirely new? And if something new, what does that new look like?
My system has to be entirely new. And the way that I see this entirely new system is that there is a price put on for the free scholarships and for all of the other ways that you get paid. And each person that does this type of work has a 1099 in which they have to cover the taxes of all of this money that they're making. But what I would see is I would like to see it where it is a deal through the schools. Each person gets their own 1099 so that they have to file it. And the NIL and scholarship are intertwined into one. So that's how I would like to have that go. But each person, they would have to get, the amount of their school is part the scholarships that they get for their school is part of their income, and then they have to pay taxes upon that. That might go ahead and help out with you know the regulation of it, and ensuring that the prices, they don't completely increase to a matter where it's not sufficient anymore.
Okay, good deal. Well, I just saw that our guest is on backstage, but he might not be ready, and that's fine. As we told him that we'd bring him on here at the top of the hour. But while we do get ready for our guest, Coach, talk a little bit about how you're viewing the FIFA World Cup as I run through some of the technical things here to get ready for our guest.
No, you're good. So I'm glad that we're finally going to get to the part where the world's biggest sporting event finally comes to America again. For those of you that weren't around or don't remember what happened in 1994, I was in New York, and I will say that New York had a bunch of a whole slew of soccer games going over at the Meadowlands. While we were not as caught up with what was going on after the United States was eliminated and they moved away, I do remember seeing an influx of people. I saw the largest Mexican flag I could ever see in my life. It must have been about 10 stories, long, on the way back from one of these pre-show games, or it was one of the warm-up games that Mexico had over at Giant Stadium. So now that it is coming here and the world stage is coming to this great country, I say that facetiously because if you do not like to see Donald Trump on TV in places that he's not supposed to be, you better not watch the World Cup. I mean, just remember he was just awarded a FIFA Peace Prize. Okay, God knows how the hell that corrupt organization offers up a peace prize, but he's won it, and he is going to talk about getting soccer here to America to be on the world stage together. So get used to that. It's going to happen. Also, only, and I'm saying this as bluntly as I can, the best bet for the United States is for them to hopefully be within the top two of the group play and then lose in that round of 32. That is what the United States soccer, that's what I am anticipating them doing. That means they're going to win one of their games within their group. They're probably going to end up tied with two of the other players, and they'll end up getting in on points and goal differential. So that being said, That's all the United States is going to end up going. I also see. I've been following a little bit more intently the other leagues and outside of the English Premier League for in preparation for the World Cup, and I will say that it is going to be very difficult to stop France this year. I don't believe the Italy team, the German team, the Brazilian team, or the Mexican teams, any of the traditional powerhouses, are going to have a chance against the Frenchmen. And that pains me to say that the French are going to win something in America on their 250th birthday, but you know let those freaking frog eaters have something.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to have this move. I plan on having this whole video that I had to introduce our guests as I found some footage of them. And then technically, everything just went to hell. So, we are going to do it live here.
Can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
And we'll do it live. Today's guest, or tonight's guest, depending on where you're at, because we can see that it's nice and sunny where he's at, is living two incredibly demanding lives. By day, he is serving in our United States military. If he wants to divulge which branch, I'll let him do that. By night, he's competing in one of the toughest combat sports on earth, bare knuckle fighting. Y'all heard that right. Ain't no gloves over here. We bringing these, baby. Recently, he scored a 36-second knockout victory at BKFC's first ever Hawaii event. Let's transition and bring him on over. The man with the healthy head of hair himself, Vince. Vince, how's it going, my man? Uh-oh. Hold on. That's on me. I need to unmute you. Let's try that again. How's it going, brother? Man, I still can't hear you, and you are unmuted on my side. Man. All right. Let's try. Let me see what I can see on my side. All right. Your microphone is. See if something pops up here that tells you to use your iPhone mic.
Hello?
There we go. I got you.
Okay.
All right. Hey, I knew I was going to figure this out. Apologies for doing something a little bit technically different over here, but we do have you 5x5. First of all, thank you for taking the time to join us. What time is it where you're at right now?
Yeah, of course, man. So it's like 3 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time.
Man, 3 p.m. All right. Now, when you agreed to come on board here, I found your Instagram, did a little bit of digging, but
Mhm.
allow the viewers to know who you are, if you don't mind sharing what you do and what branch of service, and what inspired you to join the military.
I'm sorry, that last part. I'm echoing for some reason.
It could be on me. What inspired you to join the military?
Oh, sure, man. What inspired me to join the military? It's been a little bit. I've been in almost 12 years now, and I don't know. I would say purpose. Yeah, most definitely purpose, man. I was born and raised in Trenton, New Jersey, and aside from playing college ball, I didn't really see much more for me. And I think if I stuck around, probably wouldn't have went too good. So joining the military, I joined for Air Force pararescue. And then unfortunately, I was unsuccessful throughout the first soft pipeline I went through. I went into Air Force security forces, 8 years, and then I'm in the Army now.
All right, good deal. I mean, look, if I was living in Trenton, New Jersey, I'd be trying to find the first thing smoking.
Yeah, yeah. So made the best out of it. Yeah, for sure.
Good deal. Why bare knuckle? Why not boxing? Why not MMA? What made you decide you wanted to get into a combat sport, and why did you choose bare knuckle?
Okay, so that's a good question. I boxed before. It wasn't just, straight in the bare knuckle. I think that would be absolutely wild. No fight experience besides, say, street fighting, and then you're like, okay, today I'm gonna go do bare knuckle. So I did do boxing before as a youth, and then to include as an adult, and then, man, I would say opportunity. So what was fall of 2025, just 6 months ago or so, we started to seeing bare knuckle fighting championship tryouts, pamphlets. Some of my coworkers are like, "Hey Vince, you should try it out, man." I was like, "Yeah, I'll try it out. I'll try it out if I can get into the tryout." So then I went over to the tryout, shook Mr. Chris Lytle's hand, UFC veteran and BKFC vet, met the local promoter TJ Thompson, gave me a shot. And then I said, why not? Went in there, spar, trained kind of against upwards of 40 to 50 other professional fighters. And then they gave me a contract. So I always told myself, if the opportunity presents itself, I'm going to go for it and try it. So,
Now, when I was active duty Air Force.
okay.
I was in enlisted aviation, so there were things that unwritten rules about what you could and couldn't do, or if you wanted to do something like mixed martial arts or anything that you could get severely injured, that you would have to get your commander's approval to be able to do that. So, with you serving active duty, did you have to get commander's approval to be able to compete and do something like bare knuckles fighting and boxing?
I did. Yeah, I had to get approval. So pretty much my commander did diligence, wrote out a counseling form just so I understood the inherent risk. If you die, if you get injured, sign the form. We had a good casual conversation and then said best of luck.
What made you get into combat sports like at all? Like, so were you like one of those guys that you always found it interesting? Were you like, rough and rugged growing up in Trenton, New Jersey, so you just had to get good with your hands and fighting? Like, talk us through the decision on deciding to get into something like combat sports.
Yeah, okay. I have the question. Can I adjust this real quick? It's still echoing.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Let me see what I can fix on my side as well here. All right, so while he's getting things fixed, Coach said that he can't hear him, so he's going to pull up the Facebook feed and try to listen in. Okay.
I can hear you now. If you can hear me,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got you 5 by 5.
it's still giving me feedback, but that's better than in my ear.
It's it's on my end. Technically, I would have brought you on different, and I found out kind of at the last minute that we were doing something technically different. So that's on us. Apologies for the bad first experience, brother.
No, no worries. You can have me back. I'll come back.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, so to your question, how did I get into combat sports? Couple of reasons. I would say so. The first thing, yeah, my dad. Growing up in Trenton, he was what's called like a burger bit, like an OG. Grew up in Trenton, the way he was raised, street fighting is just second nature. And just like Hawaii culture, a little bit about it. Fight culture is huge. Can you defend yourself? Can you scrap? The other big thing is growing up, I played football, wrestled, boxed. I would get bullied all the time in middle school. man, there'd always be some sort of upperclassman, especially when I got to high school. Upperclassmen. I remember a couple of guys. I'm not going to name drop them now, but they would they would always test me. I was that freshman, a little bit bigger. I had that chip, that ego, just like the next kid, and I wanted to step it up. So wrestling, fighting, street fighting, boxing. I just dabbled in a little bit of everything. And then I really wanted to solidify it, becoming an adult, ensure that I could protect my family, I could protect those around me, never to be vulnerable. I just always wanted to ensure I could protect the people around me. And that was the big thing. And I think that was my introduction into what you could say combat sports. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other siblings that compete and do combat sports as well?
No. My brother stayed from the Philippines. I'm sure he street fought a lot, but not not sanctioned, not competitively.
All right, good deal.
Mhm.
Now, if you're comfortable talking about
Sure.
your family, I know that you are a father, and you have a significant other. Um, your dad was instrumental in you getting into combat sports. How would you feel about your kids competing during combat sports when they get older?
110%.
Okay.
So I got my baby girl here in the background, my middle child, my son, my crazy boy. He's at school right now. And the newborn is with my wife.
Hey,
I'll say
congratulations.
this. Can I pull her on for a second?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Sweetie, come here.
That's dope.
Tell tell him how do you feel about competing in boxing when you get older? What do you think?
I think I wanna do boxing when I grow up.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, baby. Do you want
That's
to hang out here or do you want to step up to the side? Go for it.
Thank you.
Go. Thank you, baby. So I already coach her a little bit. And then I bring her actually to my gym, Fan Bear Boxing here in Ever Beach. And our coach, Coach Joel, oh, he's great. And the way that we facilitate the KP classes, the kids classes, it's instrumental in their growth. It gives them that structure, gives them that discipline, something to work towards. But then also, especially because my oldest is a daughter, I think it's imperative to their growth. And, as they get into the world, she needs to be able to defend herself because dad is not always going to be there. And the last thing I want, whether elementary, intermediate, high school, is for some kid to try and think just because they're a boy or just a little bigger that they can speak, be physical, whatever they think with my daughter. My daughter's got a nasty right hook, nasty
Nice.
left hook. So that's the big reasons why. And the same thing for my son, just be able to defend himself.
All right, good deal. Good deal, man. Does military training at all helps inside of the ring? And if so, how?
Hmm, interesting. Discipline. I think you can attest to that too. I mean, what service members have, that 1% of the population, is a discipline that just quite simply 99% of the others don't. Whether you stay in 4 years or 30 years, service members should have an inherent discipline. Now, military combatives, level one, two, three, whatever combatives, it's useful, sure. But I would say the way it helped me grow as a competitive and professional fighter and a bare knuckle, I wouldn't say too much, but I would say that discipline that's ingrained in the person being is something that it can take you so far. It can take you so far as long as it's kind of cultivated and grown. That discipline is everything. That just quite simply, I know a ton of my boys in the civilian realm, great fighters, great human beings, But are they going to do that after a 12-hour shift? Just came home from TDY, just come home from deployment. Are they going to get in there? Are they going to train? Are they going to stay after? It's something where I know, regardless of how my day went, I need to get in there at 5, 6 p.m. I need to spar. I need to get after it. So that's my take on it.
How about the other way around? Does the fighting help anything on the military side?
Confidence. I would say confidence. I relate fighting to everything in life. I look at I look at it singularly, whether you're on a team or you're being challenged individually. As a fighter, I know the deep waters I can go in. I know how far I can push, and I have a true confidence and belief that doesn't matter what you throw at me. I might not be the fastest, I might not be the most powerful, the strongest, but man, I can push. I have. We all know our limits. We're not superhumans, but I know that I can push just as far as anybody out there. So I believe fighting gives me that confidence because I've been through the deep waters. And I know that militarily, whether it's a training exercise, deployment, it helps.
Okay. Now, I'm looking at your match here against a guy by the name of Crawford.
Sure.
And it is pinned on the Bare Knuckle FC Instagram page, and it looks like you're tagged in it as well. You came out in a flurry. Talk us through your anticipation, the study prep that you have to do for a fight like this, and if you were confident that you'd be able to win that fast.
Okay, so the anticipation. I was so eager. Every fight that I have, sanctioned competition that is, there's always that preliminary dwell time. Oh, sucks. I gotta wait 2 months before I fight, 3 months before I fight, 3 weeks. There's always that thought in my head that kind of that manifestation. How am I gonna do it? How am I gonna strike them? My defense, my offense, is my cardio gonna hold up? Can I match power for power? So the anticipation was huge, and especially, of course, when we got there to fight tonight, fighting in front of close upwards of 10,000 people, and I was told almost 2 million fans. Oh, it's wild. So, and then fight prep. So I will say, depending on the fighter, you might have a lot more footage on them. Have you sparred them before? Any of those things? I had limited footage on Crawford. There was some footage of him in professional MMA. So I was able to see that. And then to my advantage, I did spar him at the tryout. I kind of saw how he was as a fighter. And I will say that first and foremost, Simeon Crawford, amazing human being. He's a good fighter. There was a lot of talk on the BKFC page about a mismatch, this or that. I take nothing away from any fighter, especially anybody who's gonna get in there and fight bare knuckle. They're a dog. They're a savage. So I give it to that dude. He got in there with me and we banged. When it came to studying footage, it was limited. I was prepping for somebody similar in height. He's about 6'1", 6'2". I was tracking. He dropped from about 230, 240. So he was a little bit heavier than me. I always stay around 205 to 215, and I cut to where I feel good and comfortable. So I knew I was going to fight somebody who likes to double up on their jab, throw their twos. He's more of a straight puncher fighter. Me, I like that brawling, that Manny Pacquiao, that Mike Tyson style. the slipping into rolling, throwing my power. I kind of knew how I wanted to fight the fight. And could you repeat your last question?
Yeah, just it was really more about what was going through your mind, like, afterwards, towards the end, on finishing that fight that fast. Like, were you anticipating going, I think I could catch this fool in like 10 seconds?
Yeah, yeah. No, no, by no means. Now, I'll say this, as I've said in past interviews, anybody at 200 plus pounds has power. The difference, just like we talked about, is the discipline. Did you do the cardio work? Did you do the defensive sparring? Anybody can hit a bag. You see all these guys on social media, they look all sexy on the bag, man, they look good, smooth. It's different when a punch is thrown flying back at you, especially Bare Knuckle. If he would have thrown 1-2 in contact, I know I would have been fine. Some other fighters might get put down. So that's why I really put a lot of emphasis and focus on the head movement, the slipping that jab, rolling until I get close enough to him, laying my overhand right, my left hook. I relied back on my training and it worked. I didn't think I'd knock him out that quick, but I did know my style of fight. It's either I'm taking you out in the first or second round, or you might get lucky and catch me. But uh,
I like that. Now, to the uninitiated, you said something about throwing your twos. I don't know anything about punch types. Can you give us a demonstration of like what's a one, what's a two? Is there a three? And if so, like
100%,
what's a three? So kind of walk us through what those punches and numbers are associated with.
100%. So I'm an orthodox fighter, right? So that just means, hey, I'm standing with my left foot forward,
Okay.
and I'm right here, my left hand, and then my right hand is my power back. It's a little hard from this angle, but if I'm like this, so your one is just your jab. You're
Okay.
throwing your jab out. Yep. Your two is your cross or your straight punch,
Okay.
and then your three is your hook, and you bring it over. Yeah. And then you have uppercut, left uppercut, overhand, one of my favorite punches. So I knew he was more of a straight puncher. I had to get around that. I had to use my defense. Defense first, the offense is going to come.
Defense first, and then the offense is gonna come. What
Mm,
what what type of a like? How do you train for defense? Do you have like somebody that they're throwing punches at you, and then you're you're practicing the movements, and how much time and effort are you putting into that defensive training?
Oh, for sure. So, it's funny. I was at a gym in South Baltimore from 21, 22 until about midway through 2023. And one of my old coaches out of first class boxing and fitness, shout out Coach Paul, shout out Coach Clint. Coach Clint used to have a stick with a glove up the end. And this sucker, he would shoot it at my head. And anytime you got hit with that, it felt like you were getting really punched. So it's a good way to kind of explain that punch. That stick is mimicking a straight punch. And I'm just slipping, come around, rolling under it. And my present coach, Coach Joel, he would do the same thing. So we would do all kinds of mitt work. I would do a ton of defensive sparring to where I'm having a fighter simply throw punches at speed, focusing on more speed instead of power,
Mm-hmm.
volume, frequency, and I'm expected to react. Heighten my reaction time to include what can I expect or how I can expect to react when a certain punch is thrown at. You throw a jab, I'm gonna slip right or slip left, and then I'm gonna counter with another punch. And I would dedicate the majority of my rounds sparring to that. Yesterday, I did 8 rounds defensive sparring where my sparring partner, Joey, he would just throw a ton of volume at me. And he's a smaller fighter, but he's quick. So if I can dodge punches from what's supposed to be a quicker fighter, there's not a doubt in my mind, not a shadow of doubt, I can defend something from a heavier one. But then also bare knuckle. So if I have fighters listening to us right now, you cannot rear hand parry. You can't front hand parry. Somebody throws something full power bare knuckle, that could break my hand.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it, you can't really catch punches either. A lot of it is using your footwork, generating angles, slipping, rolling, and then I can land offense. It's different. It's different.
Man, that like hearing you talk about it, you can tell that it's not something that this is a hobby for you. No, you seem to genuinely have studied these movements and studied, how you have to do certain things. Um
I appreciate it.
what is like and also the thing that I'm loving when you talk about this, how do I say this? You're not humble about it.
Oh, I'm not.
No, but I love that. I think that we've gotten to where people are just like entirely too humble. If you know what you're doing and you're proud of the work that you do, you should be able to showcase that, talk about it in a manner because you've took the time and effort and like have put in the work to be good at what you do. So I'm loving that, man. I'm
I'm
loving
trying
it.
to be humble, man. Look. That's one thing. Whether, hey, just like at work with my family, I always try to have humility. I can always learn. I can always be better. I don't believe I'm ever the smartest guy in the room,
Hmm.
but I will say, if you don't have confidence going to something like bare knuckle, you're gonna go put down a rabid dog. It's just not part of it. You have to have that confidence. And I wouldn't call it naivety either or an arrogance. I'm always respectful to all opponents, but I have a confidence that they ever match me with the top three in the world, I can take it. I can take it.
Good deal. Now, talk us through fighting in Hawaii. Did you have any family pull up to the event? And if so, what was that like competing with them there?
Oh, it was amazing, man. So, matter of fact, right before I stepped up and we have the BKFC kind of like operations, they tell you, hey, go ahead, step up. You're about to walk out. All right, cool. I see my beautiful wife sitting there and she's holding the baby in the baby carrier. And I was about this close to like shedding a tear, like the heart pull. I'm like, oh man. And then when I got there in the ring, oh, before I get to that, I had a ton of family. Yeah, a ton of my family, especially on my wife's side. Brother, sister-in-law, a lot of my nephews, nieces, secondary family too. A ton of my guys from work. So it was amazing. It was amazing having that support, and it made it that much better. I had my mom fly out. She was from New Jersey. She brought her boyfriend. Yeah. And they were with my daughter Kylo, my son Cassius. I could hear them yell. And then once we got in the ring, everything happened and ensued. They went to go raise my, even before they went to go raise my hand, I look over and I could see my wife holding baby in the carrier. And I was just pointing. And I almost felt like I could cry. But yeah, it was amazing.
That's dope, man. That's dope. Now, with all
Appreciate it.
of the people that are in there, all of the noise, the announcers talking, you could hear them cheering for you, like singled out, and be able to hear them.
It was close. At the end, 110%. I could hear the so in Hawaii. You know how in the South they go yeehaw or woo, whatever it may be. So in Hawaii, they chihu. Everybody chihu's the local kind, people, Hawaiian, whatever. So I could hear the loud chihu, everything. And wow, it was electrifying, man, electrifying.
Um, what would you do if the no, actually, I'm gonna change this question up a bit.
Mm.
Is there ever a time where there could be a conflict between you doing combat sports and the military? And this is a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If there was a conflict, what wins out?
Yes, 110%. And I would say I have a commitment to the military. At this point, I'm a lifer. I've been in just shy of 12 years. If duty calls, whether it's, hey, training X or combat deployment, whatever it is, that's what's priority. 110%. That will always take priority. My family will always take priority. Some would argue that, hey, doesn't that detract from your fight career? I could see that point. But I'm so passionate about fighting and coaching youth, coaching Nikki, that we can always find time. And I don't make the excuse that I don't have the time to train. Oh, I can't be out there. The way I split up my training schedule is it allows for both. But to your question, military will always take priority. Got to
Military
do
will
as
always
duty
take
calls, you know.
Yes, sir. Now, for those of y'all listening, I really want y'all to capture what he just talked about. Not only is he talking about the rigors and things that he have to do while serving, this man is also a husband, a father of three, and is doing a sport discipline that requires a heavy amount of training on that as well. And he is finding time to do all three, and that's just those areas. Are you taking any college courses as well? Anything like outside of the military that could help you as you transition outside of the military somewhere down the line?
Sure, yeah. So as of current, I'm not in school, but to that point that you're making, I was enlisted for 8 years before I commissioned.
Good deal.
And man, I I'm the first one to say it. I'm an online psych degree. I had to make it happen. You know, I didn't go to the West Point, huge military academy. I take nothing away from those guys. I've met great O's from ROTC, West Point, everything. But I did mine on deployments. I did mine through training, through having kids. And I started a master's in 2021 after our second child. My boy Cassius, he had breathing issues. And unfortunately, he was in the neonatal intensive care unit for several weeks and then on breathing tubes for up to 6 months. So I dropped my master's after about two courses. I still got to pick it back up. So, but yeah, there's time. There's time. It's just we all have 24 hours in a day.
Within the fighting world,
Mhm.
how do you get to where you can get to a title match? And prior to answering that, actually, I'm going to ask: are you looking at sticking in bare knuckles and looking at getting a title shot in the Euro a cruiserweight? Correct.
Yeah,
How do you get to where you can get to that title shot in your cruiserweight division?
sure. So 100%. I found my sport. I love boxing. There is big money, a lot of opportunities in boxing. But man, I love bare knuckle. I love bare knuckle. So as of right now, I'm talking to the BKFC matchmaking team, and I'm just kind of waiting in the queue. I put some names out there, some top 15, almost top 10 in the United States. As of current, I'm ranked 27th in the United States for bare knuckle professional cruiserweights. So as I reached out to the BKFC team, I want one of those seasoned journeymen, and it's going to test my mettle. And if I can go and show out, same way I did in the first fight, first or second round knockout, I see no reason why they can't match me with a top 10, top 7, top 5 guy. The beauty about BKFC that I see is that, and I think a lot of people see too, it's out of conception. It's not, you need 20, 25 fights to be contending for a boxing WBC title. A lot of these guys, the seasoned guys, have 8 to 10 bare knuckle fights. And it's because the river, it's just different. I believe that if I can go and win in great fashion, contest one of those top 10 to 15 guys, I can be in the talks for maybe a top 10, top 7 guy. And then by my 4th or 5th fight, I can be positioning to be able to do the thing and go for a championship. See,
How much of a heads up do they give you when you're matched with a fighter to give you time to be able to like, fully train and get ready for that match? Is it like you get like a 6 week heads up on something, or is it like, hey, we have a fight for you, it's next week and this is
yeah.
where you'll be fighting at? How does that work?
So I would say, from my experience with this first fight, we knew contracts would be dropping in February timeframe. Tryout was in January. February contract came out. April 11 was event. Excuse me. So that's about 3 months, 4 months. But the expectation with BKFC, because there's a lot of hungry guys out there, a lot of hungry fighters that just want to get after it. You got to be ready at all times. I know if they matched me tomorrow, sent me out contract and said, hey, we want you on BKFC 93, BKFC 94 in Australia. Okay. If the numbers make sense, the accommodation makes sense, me and my team, mainly Coach Joe out of FanBam, we review it and he could be there to run my corner, we're fighting. But they want guys to be ready.
Gotta be ready.
Mhm.
Now, let me look at doing this because I would like to have you back with like optimal things on our side. So I'm going to ask you this question to close us out. You've been in service for over a decade now. You called yourself a lifer, looking at getting to where you could get to serving your country honorably for as long as they let you. Um,
Listen,
what message do you have for younger service members that may also want to get into something like what you're doing with combat sports? Like, or would you tell them early on to focus on their MOS and being the best soldier that they could be? Would you try and encourage them to do all of the things? What advice do you have for young service members?
I appreciate it, man. That's a great question. I would say first things first, always chase your dreams. I am always an opponent for the military. I'm always an advocate for however you make your money, go make it. If it's legal, if it's moral, if it's helping the people around you, go do it. Always put your best foot forward. Never squander any of your dreams. If you're listening to me, I'm proof in the pudding that I'm 30 years old and I just fought a bare knuckle pro fight last month. Again, like you said, brother, with 3 kids, a career, a wife, all these different endeavors. You just fucking leave it. And just the same thing I would tell my daughter, and I tell my kids is that we all have dreams, and we all deserve the opportunity to embark on them. We all deserve the opportunity to feel that purpose, that mean, to chase whatever it is that itch may be. Mine just so happens to be fighting. And I always tell guys, get good at your job. Don't give your supervisor a reason to tell you no. You're doing a good job at work. Hey, you should be able to go ahead and do what you want to do. So I'm proof in the pudding. There's only one other bare knuckle pro in the Army. She's in the National Guard. And then there's a gentleman in the Air Force. So I'm the only one in the active Army. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm telling you, if I can do it, you can do it. So quite simply, chase your dreams. Don't find an excuse. Put your best foot forward every day. Tell your leadership so you don't get in trouble, but go ahead and get after it. Go ahead and get after it. Chase the dreams every single day, every single day.
All right, man. Hey, final question. I love that wrap up. That is to me very inspirational. Uh, I'm going to ask you this. I don't know how you're going to answer it, but if Vince could fight anyone in bare knuckles tomorrow, who would it be? Call them out right now.
I want Darren Till. Darren Till just came over from the UFC. Hey, good fight, man. If you ever see this, you got a knockout, if I'm not mistaken, the second round after being put down in the first. The dude's got in. He could fight. He's a seasoned warrior in fighting. I would love to see him at 205. I'll cut the 185. If BKFC can make it happen, I'm there any day of the week. Any
I
day of the week.
I like it. He just called out the English professional mixed martial artist Darren Till, nicknamed the Gorilla.
He can get the dog. He can get the dog.
The dog versus the gorilla. Hey, if anybody
Mhm.
can make that happen, baby. All right. Well, hey, Vince the dog, man. Thanks for joining. Again, I would love to have you back when we get everything situated here on my side. You were fantastic in communicating when our team had reached out to be able to do this, man. I want to showcase you. I wanted to be able to showcase the video. I had it displayed a little bit up on the screen for the people to see, man. Like there's one in particular thing where it looks like you kind of like, I don't know if slips the right word, him, and then you came in, bow. It looked like you only threw three punches and knocked him out. That was dope to me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. That was the second knockdown. The first one's a good one, but thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for the kind words and the opportunity. Thank you guys very much at the Sports Bar, U.S. Army, WTF. And thank you so much.
um, how do I say until next time in from like Hawaii?
A hui ho,
Ahuli Oa?
a hui ho,
Ahuli Ahuli Ho.
a hui ho.
Ahuli
Yeah,
Ho. I'm from Alabama.
yeah,
I got a country
yes,
accent. All right, Vince. Thanks, man.
my man. Thank you.
All right.
Aloha, guys. Thank you.
Peace. All right. That was Vince the Dog Aragona. Um, very, very inspirational guy, man. Like I can tell that if I were one of the enlisted guys that served under him, he seems like a guy that will promote you doing what you like to do as long as you are squared away in your area. To have
Yeah.
a family, to be able to balance a family that seems to be extremely supportive of him going out and getting fists thrown at his face, to balance that, the army service, and everything like that, it takes dedication. I think it takes a special person to be able to have the energy to do all of that. I mean, he invited his daughter on, and was, extremely happy and smiling, and you can tell that she's like supportive of her dad and things as well. I would love to have him come back on where we could do a proper interview with the audio and things, right, man? What did you think about Vince the dog and everything that you heard?
And everything I heard, I think it's awesome. I'm glad that he's able to get that through with his chain of command and be able to fight in addition to doing that. But that's the kind of credibility that I think a lot of officers are trying to get. It, he's got the credibility. Now, whether or not this actual fighting turns into something that detracts from his career, I hope it really as hell doesn't. I know how officers are, and some might just think that it's a passing fad or something like that. But if he's able to connect that, make this work for him, this is by one of the great things for him to go ahead and work himself out and do it. I wish him nothing but the best. I just hope that some stupid officer doesn't make the better decision, that it's unprofessional for him to fight professionally, especially if he's got a good chance of adding positivity to the army.
Okay, coach, there's a worse echo than what it was earlier. So we're going to end the current show now. I'm going to apologize to the viewers and listeners for the technical bad things that had occurred during today's live stream. I wasn't as prepared as I needed to be, and that is on me. But I can guarantee you, like Charles Barkley say, I guarantee that it won't happen again. Looking at the NBA Finals, we are almost at halftime. The San Antonio Spurs have had they closed out the first quarter on a roll, scoring 27 to the Knicks 19. Right now, it is 52 to 48 with 21 seconds left till halftime. I have not been watching the game, Coach. In as short of a version as you can because of the echo, what have you seen in the first half of the first game one?
First half, Spurs got onto a great run. They ended up closing the half like outscoring the Knicks 20-3. It's been back and forth, kind of keeping the same pace for the end of the second, or for the entire second. And looking at it, the Knicks have been made it close and almost took the lead when Wembanyama was off the court. Now that Wembanyama is out there closing it, you're now having back up at a 7-point lead. Man, Wembanyama is a difference maker every time he is out on the court. If there's zero question about it after game one, then you do not know how to watch the National Basketball Association. So, as we are looking at halftime right now, it is San Antonio up 55-48. Knicks got to make some adjustments at the half. It looks like Jalen Brunson's got to remember how to hit a shot, and hopefully things go a lot better for the Knicks in the second half.
All right, looking at the teams for the Knicks, from the starters leading in points is Jalen Brunson with 11, followed by Karl Anthony Towns with 8. On the bench, you have Jose Alvarado and Landry Shepard with 7 and 6 points, respectively. Looking at San Antonio has Julian Champagne. I always look at his name as Champagne with 15 points. The only starter in double digits, Victor Wembanyama, is 2 for 8 with 9 points. And on the bench, Dylan Harper, 16 minutes on the bench, going 4 for 5 with 12 points and 6 rebounds. That is the Sports Bar here at WTF Nation Radio. That's Coach. I'm King. Shout out to our guest, Vincent the Dog, for coming on and sharing a little bit about his journey into bare knuckles fighting. And we're looking at having him coming back on in the future. We're out. There is no Thursday night show or Sergeant's Time with Ice tomorrow, as he is still off. So the next event that you'll see with WTF Nation Radio is Friday's FTX, as I believe CQ is still hosting here this Friday. Thanks for tuning in. We're out.